The Moon. Next to the Sun, the Moon is probably the brightest and most recognizable object in our sky. Our Moon is about 1/4 the diameter of Earth and approximately 250,000 miles away. The Moon covers about 1/2 degree of the sky. That's just about half the width of your little finger if you hold it at arm's length. With just your naked eye, you can identify the maria, the dark lava seas on the surface of the Moon. These dark patches represent the newest parts of the Moon. These areas were flooded with lava during a period in the early solar system when the Moon was still being bombarded with asteroids that formed the thousands of craters that we see today. Still, the lunar surface is extremely old. There's no air or liquid water to erode the surface, so most features have remained unchanged for the last 2 to 3 billion years. A good pair of binoculars will reveal a dozen or so large craters. Near the south pole of the Moon, remember south is down for observers in the northern hemisphere, the crater Tycho has a series of rays that expand in all directions, making Tycho one of the easiest craters to identify. The rays are material ejected when the crater Tycho was created by a large asteroid impact about 110 million years ago. A little left of center on the Moon's surface, you'll see a trio of craters that create an inverted triangle. These are Copernicus, Aristarchus, and Kepler. Even a modest telescope will reveal thousands of interesting sights. There are craters of all shapes and sizes, towering mountain ranges rising thousands of feet above the lunar surface, and cracks and fault lines and strange domes that give us a hint of some past geological activity. Many skilled astronomers have observed the Moon in detail for decades and still never tire of its stark beauty. The Moon cycles through its phases approximately once every 27 days. As the Moon waxes from its new phase to full, it's visible in the evening sky. As it wanes back to new, it's visible primarily during the day. Many beginners believe that the best time to observe the Moon is when it's full, but that's usually the worst time. You get the best views of the Moon observing along the terminator, that stark line that separates day from night. On the terminator, the craters and mountains stand out much more clearly in the long shadows of the lunar sunrise or sunset. The planets. The planets are almost always a favorite among stargazers. The two planets closest to the Sun, Mercury and Venus, appear very bright and fast-moving in the sky. You'll usually see them around sunrise or sunset. To an observer with a telescope, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn reveal an astonishing amount of detail on their surface, and Uranus and Neptune can be resolved into featureless points with very little or no detail. It's a great accomplishment for a beginner to observe one of these distant planets at all. Pluto, recently demoted from planetary status, is too faint to see in all but the largest of backyard telescopes. Because the solar system was formed by a large spinning disk of material, the planets lie in an almost flat plane in space. From Earth, all the planets lie in a narrow band called the ecliptic that extends out through the 12 constellations of the zodiac. Looking for Jupiter, for example, you would look in one of the 12 constellations, not in Orion, Centaurus, or any of the other constellations that are above or below the ecliptic. Now, with the naked eye, you can easily see Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, once you know where to look. Binoculars are generally not powerful enough to reveal much detail, but they will reveal the 4 largest moons of Jupiter that move around the planet from night to night. To see any surface detail or to see the phases of Mercury and Venus, you'll probably need a telescope.